And let's look at it from the radical Muslim point of view. They're the little Satan, we're the great Satan. So they actually understand how this all stacks up.
Oh, they get it totally.
They get it totally.
But we don't. And I mean, I was just looking at the internet. I'm like, my God, they have totally censored any kind of sane opinion about what's really going on in the Middle East, specifically Israel, what Israel's doing. They have censored anything sane about Israel on almost all fronts, on YouTube, on BitChute. It's all just puked anti-Semitism everywhere. And I mean, they've won, and they've targeted the minds of the youth, and they're all going to be like, listening to Candace and Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. And I imagine Charlie Kirk was really bothered by that. I imagine he felt, they say, he felt pressured by Israel, but he didn't have a lot of Jewish donors at all. And I think that he was feeling pressured by those people's rising numbers.
Charlie's donors are, look, in any organization that is a youth organization, you have a constituency, which is young people, and you're going to get money from older people. So the older people are going to represent the mainstream of the Republican Party, which is pro-Israel. This may have a subset of Jews in it, but it's not primarily Jews.
Right.
It's basically rich people of an older generation who believe in the Reaganite tradition that Israel is our best ally. So yes, it's not the first time in the history of nonprofits that you got, a guy navigating between a younger constituency that's, as you say, being kind of seduced or tempted away to an anti-Israel position, and then his money is coming from basically pro-Israel people. That's not going to get him assassinated. That's actually normal. When I was at AEI, you'd have all these corporations that were giving us money, all right? And then the AEI economists, who are free market guys, would say, listen, we're against government bailouts. We're against any kind of subsidies. And all these companies would be like, wait a minute, we want subsidies for us.
Right.
And so tension between, our free market constituency, that's why we exist, and of course the donors who are corporate and generally support free markets, but on the other hand, if they can get something from the government, they're only too happy to take advantage of it. So I think this was Charlie's predicament. But to go from that, which is a completely normal situation that he was trying to navigate, to somehow, take a look at this picture, guys. Here is a pipe that can be seen in the video of Charlie's assassination. I think there was like a Mossad guy who came out of that pipe. That was the real shooter. I mean, this kind of stuff is so idiotic and bad for our side, and so it's hard for me to believe. But
aren't there donors that pulled out because of Tucker Carlson before the assassination of Charlie?
Of course. I mean, I was telling you just before we got started that I know one of them, probably Charlie's largest donor, and this is a guy who had sort of had it. And I think what it was is that at the beginning he saw that, look, Tucker's got a big following. A lot of Tucker's admirers became admirers not because of the anti-Semitism, not because of his view of Israel. They were admirers when he was on Fox News.
Yes,
they supported him when he
absolutely.
got fired. He was the ultimate poster boy of political incorrectness.
Yeah.
This was the appeal of Tucker.
Well, that's why we all liked him.
That's why we all like
Me
Tucker.
too. You did a tour with him
I did.
not too long ago, yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, Charlie had a donor problem prior to all that. And
Because a lot of his donors did not like Tucker Carlson.
well, they also didn't like the degree of prominence. Like, they noticed that even after all this, even after Charlie had heard from 30 people or 100 people, this is a problem. Like, who's the keynote speaker at their upcoming December conference? Tucker Carlson, who was right up there at the funeral. I mean, it's not easy to get that speaking slot. Tucker Carlson. So I think this is symbolic of a problem in the Republican Party.
I do too.
And one that has to be taken head on. Now, I think the problem with it a little bit is this, and that is that Tucker is the man who, quote, asks questions, right? That's how he says, I'm not taking a position. I'm only asking questions.
I've heard from so many people who experienced post-COVID vax side effects, some in my family, and the stories are heartbreaking. One woman told me that after getting the jab and then a booster, she was never the same. She said her whole body felt like it was burning from the inside out, and she couldn't eat. She was exhausted and in pain, and no one in the medical system had any answers for her. Stories like that show just how isolating, how scary it can be, which is why I want to tell you about the wellness company's Ultimate Spike Detox. Developed by Dr. Peter McCullough, this doctor-formulated blend is designed to help your body clear spike proteins while also supporting your immune system, heart, and brain. It combines 7 natural ingredients: nattokinase to help break down spike protein, bromelain to support immune health, and turmeric with black pepper to reduce inflammation and repair cells. If you or someone you love is still suffering, don't wait. Go to twc.health/RB and use code RB for 10% off plus free shipping.
Candace takes I would call it, and all of this is slightly comedic, but in a dark way. She's always conducting a personal investigation. She's like, I've got my journalists. I want to recruit you, my audience, to be journalists. Send me videos. We're going to get to the truth of the matter. Citizen journalism. Now, all of this has a kind of respectable patina.
Veneer.
It's a veneer because, first of all, this journalism never produces anything. It never actually comes to a conclusion. It actually never produces an incontestable fact where all of us can look at it and go, you know what? That is obviously true. We didn't know that before. We need to revise our previous understanding. It's never like that. It's always some extremely wacky theory that never goes anywhere and is replaced by another even more wacky theory. So this is the surreal world we are moving into. And I'm all for asking questions.
Me too.
In a way, it embarrasses me because
I want to do a citizen inquiry into the one thing Candace will never do, and that's the Catholic Church and its horrible record on child molestation and trafficking. Candace ought to look into that. Boy, that'd get her a lot more viewers. But I plan to do that, and why she apologizes for all that and hides it.
Well, the other thing about the church that has been very disturbing is the way in which, the Catholic Church was hit with a lot of lawsuits. They, I think, were facing in certain areas major bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But then they discovered, almost like a business, like another source of revenue, illegals, right?
Right,
Because
exactly.
if you can set up shop on the border as
Exactly.
a group that navigates these massive caravans that come, 2,000 miles and arrive at the
Catholic
U.S.
Charities
border.
brought 'em over.
Catholic Charities basically became like an unbelievably lucrative revenue operation, and funded, by the way, not just funded by U.S. taxpayers indirectly, funded by NGOs, funded by international organizations.
USAID.
All of this stuff. And so this is the backdrop of all that. But let me put it this way. When I started my career, I was myself like a young Charlie Kirk, right? I was speaking on campuses. My first book was called Illiberal Education.
Right.
And so I lived that life of 3 days, 4 days a week, going from one campus to the other, often flying cross country. Of course, it was a different era. I never had to worry. Don't think I genuinely worried about getting shot. At the most, I thought some guy will rush the stage and be intercepted by some overweight campus policeman. It's going to be okay. I'll live through it. But I've tried to be an iconoclast asking questions, but you have to ask questions in the right way, and you have to do it seeking truth. You're not asking questions to poison the well.
That's right.
And so when you have a guy who's asking questions like this, all right, well, I just wonder whether we might have been better to ally with, Hitler in World War II against Stalin. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
how-
Our grandfathers died fighting Hitler.
Right.
Doctor.
And then, of course, you'll hear something like, well, I'm not the only guy who's saying that. Patton said that. No, Patton didn't say that. After the war, Patton said, having won the war and vanquished the Nazis, maybe we're going to have to deal with the Soviet Union now, and maybe we should march all our way to Moscow. That's a whole different thing. And so, but for young people who are amnesiac and don't know the nuances of all this, they go, oh, well, Patton said it really. So I think that this kind of asking of questions is not, as it needs to be, a search for truth and genuine debate.
No, you said it. It's poisoning the well.
it's poisoning the well. It's poisoning the well.
Oh, you see.